So we do have a few more people requesting to speak, but before that, I think I'm going to go back to my previous point before this, which I was asking Cody before he ditched us, which was the point that JC was saying, roadmap. So how would roadmap impact your propensity to buy an artwork? Maybe Cody, you would like to take this?
I'm so sorry. Could you repeat the question again?
How important is it to have a roadmap, and does it affect your decision to buy art?
It used to, as I was diving into the JPEG flipping game, which I think what most of us how most of us got exposed to the game as well, right? So it used to matter to me a lot, and I guess I've evolved as a JPEG degen, and I'm now an art collector. You know what I mean? So 101 editions are very attractive to me. Very unique, intricate pieces that have a lot of meaning are very attractive to me. But if you're gonna tell me that you have a roadmap for your non-existent charity, then no, please be gone from me, vermin of society. Please do not poison my mind with your non-existent roadmap, giving me false promises. Life is very cruel as it is. I do not need another person giving me another false promise. So yeah, that's my take on it.
So sorry, J07, before you speak, JC and Bad Apple, would you like to add on to what Cody just said?
I think in terms of roadmap, it's not really that important, but for your own personal growth, you should have an internal roadmap, as in where you're going, whether or not you publish it online. At least it gives you that single-mindedness to continue on your journey and what ultimately you want to gain out of it. That's for your own personal roadmap. I don't really care.
JC, you were trying to say something?
Yeah, hi. Well, I agree with Cody. I agree with Apple. Yeah, technically, at the end of the day, collectors do not have time anymore to check on the roadmap. But it is very important. A creator have to treat the project like a business. A business need to have a direction. A roadmap is at least the minimal direction you need to plan. You cannot just buat saja. Yeah, you can buat saja. It's important to buat saja, but you want to move forward, you must plan. So roadmap is an important thing for you as a creator. But more collectors nowadays, we just buy on a whim. Ya, sebab dah banyak duit kan. Flipping NFTs, I believe.
Yeah. So Joe7, you've been raising your hand. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Sorry. Yeah, no worries. I just love to share my perspective on this as well as someone who's been in this space for a while. I think with the term roadmap, Cody really kind of put it in a great way. The term roadmap has kind of become a dirty word in a sense, I think, and to me it kind of reminds me of the way white paper, the term white paper kind of has become sort of this nonsensical term now. And so when it comes to, I think it's where you kind of differentiate between artists and creators. All artists are creators, but not all creators are artists, if you get what I mean. And, when it comes to certain collectible projects, it may make sense to be a little bit more transparent to what you are trying to build. But, the stopping point is you want to stop short of making any empty promises. If you're an artist and consider yourself an artist who is trying to build for kind of a lasting career, I don't think you necessarily need to. And in fact, as a collector, I don't want to see a roadmap from an artist per se. The artist is the roadmap, and rather I would love to see a vision. But I don't want to have it laid out for me as if it's like, spoon-fed for me, I guess. There was name one artist that had to, in the past that has actually had to lay out a roadmap. There aren't any, because that takes the showmanship out of it. That kind of takes the creativity, in a sense, out of it a little bit. And so that intrigue is somewhat what drives the relationship between audience and artists. So for true artists, I don't think you necessarily need to have a roadmap that's publicly visible. But that being said, if you can paint a picture of a vision of where you're trying to take the audience and invite them along the way, that's something that's intriguing, I believe.
Awesome. I think you made a really good point there. So, Crip Stealth, I'm not sure if you have a question, but if you're sharing your opinion, please go ahead. If you have a question, I think we have a Lucky Charm here with questions as well, and CMAP, I believe.
Right. I appreciate it. I'm hearing a lot of good things. I'm hearing a lot of gems, and I hope everyone is actually taking into account that they're actually listening and taking this down for all the artists out there and all the project people out there. I take it, from J07. I've been in a couple of your rooms before. So J07, Bad Apple, JC, and Cody. I guess the formula that I'm putting together in my mind is, for one, you need a little bit of shock factor and a little bit of wow factor, like a little bit of like something that's going to make you stop and think and check the composition of everything that's going on. For two, you don't necessarily need a roadmap, but you need to show vision that you're moving forward. And also, for the point that JC was making, it has to have some value that is long lasting, that's really timeless. And that's kind of what I'm gathering from all of these things. So it's making me want to put together a different collection of, because I'm a photographer, so of like one pieces that I have, but something that really speaks to someone's like mental and their pretty much their emotions, something that grabs a person's emotion and it's like, come here, let me hide you real quick so we can talk and chat about this. Just some kind of image or some type of feeling, like invoke like a feeling that is going to be timeless, that you really want to express and you want to show people. So if I'm on the right track, just let me know.
Right. I think yeah. So you made really good points. So what I like about what you just said is the wow factor piece. Incorporating into the vision. There's some elements of surprises. So I think everyone here can take that home and then just look at the projects, right, and see how it works. So Lucky Charm. So apologies that you've been waiting for quite a while. Do you have questions for JC, Bad Apple, and Cody?
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Mone. I'm from Japan, and I'm very glad that I could hear collectors' perspective. Like, I should show my vision of my collections, and I want to do that in the future. But I want to ask a question about currency. Is that okay? About which chain should I sorry. If I want to spread to the world my NFTs, which chain I should put on my NFTs, and which chain should I don't? I'm sorry for my poor
Okay,
English.
so let me try to rephrase your question.
Yeah.
So your question is
Yes.
for someone who's starting out, right? Start.
Yes.
How do you? So the question is which I guess marketplace related to which chain should you start? With your NFTs, right?
Yes. Sorry. Because in Japan, many people are struggling minting NFTs, and it's because which chain to put on, Polygon chain or Ethereum chain, and so, but they want to spread it out to all over the world, worldwide. So I want to hear many people's perspectives.
I would like to go first, if
Go
that's
ahead.
okay. All right. So I buy NFTs basically from every marketplace that I can find. WazirX, Object, the Matic one, the Luna one, the local Puntas on the Binance Smart Chain. But none of it seems to have the effect that Ethereum has. If you want to talk about spreading your art to the world, Ethereum seems to be the best mode of channel for you to do so. But with that being said, we also have a huge chunk of collectors that are absolutely sick to death of the gas fees, right? And we're also talking about what is the alternative if not Ethereum. So then we talk about Ethereum layer 2s, right? We talk about immutable X. We talk about the Matic chain, right? The Polygon chain. The thing is, you need to be sensitive, and you need to be on the pulse, because your market will evolve and they will move, right? I will not stay in one marketplace for too long, right? Because it's boring, right? How many creators can release their stuff from Foundation? Like dude, there are only so many, and there are only so few very highly curated stuff on Foundation. But with that being said, Foundation is catering to a specific market, a specific consumer tax bracket, I would say, right? So I guess it's figure out who your market is. Once you figure out who you want to sell to, then you can figure out where you want to put your NFTs on. In my opinion, there's a lot of value in putting it on newer chains, because your longevity as an artist is, I mean, for namesake, longevity. You know what I mean? You need to be able to adapt and move with the times. So if you ask me today, what chains are the best? I would say the Tezos chain is very good for serious artists and serious art collectors, in my opinion, because artists have all-time self-esteem low there, so it's very cheap for collectors, and the art's very, very good, and it's not filled with false promises, and it's not predicated upon a charity. It's not predicated upon a whole cause. You know, it's just pure art. 40 editions, straightforward. Here you go, right? So Object or Tezos chain is very good, in my opinion. I think the Matic chain is very good, but you don't really get a huge amount of consumer base there. Another place that's on the Binance Smart Chain that I think is really good, based on the UI alone, right? We're not talking about buyer base, we're not talking about anything, but based on UI alone, Pentas.io has a pretty good standing for NFT longevity, in my opinion. So yeah, those are the 3 places I would recommend.
Yeah. JC, and do you have anything to add to that in terms of which chain? Yeah.
If you are from Japan, have you tried Nanakusa? Like probably quite awesome to have a look. They are on Polygon also. But it's actually any chain you can just go. But if you want to find something easier, just go for a Launchpad. If you want to go for complicated routes, because you have your own preference, you just do your own code. In terms of the chains are progressing. Layer 2, just like what Cody says, happening. EIP 1159 is happening already last October. We are getting more burning of the Ethereum. Solana is cheap. Apalagi cheap, huh? Because everybody nowadays want to make it cheaper and cheaper. So, well, Binance is cheap, Pentas is cheap. You can just mint it over there, expand it everywhere. Why not? You can just put your presence in every marketplace, so that orang tak ada choice. Nobody have a choice anymore. Buy yours, I assume. That's my opinion. Thanks.
For me, I think that you don't really have to worry about which chain. I would suppose if I had to answer, it would be Ethereum. If not, eventually most of the marketplaces will be multi-chain anyway. Yeah, so don't worry about that.
Awesome. So I'm gonna go on to the next person who's been waiting. So Seema, so here's your chance to ask questions. We have some really good collectors, and J07, you can add on after this. Apologies, they've been waiting.
No worries. Hi guys. My question is quite similar actually. I'm pretty much just 3 weeks old on NFT platform. I have been uploading my works on Rarible, and I was just wondering if it's a good place to be. I mean, I know the other places are kind of expensive. Right now my bank balance is 0, so until I sell a work, I can't really move to another place. But I was just wondering, is Rarible a good place to be?
Rarible is a great place to be. They allow you to mint on their contract as well as your own, so you kind of have the option of different levels of sovereignty. But I think to answer the larger question, I think this is something that many new and emerging artists have, is like, where should I mint? The answer will always be, it depends. It depends specifically on your creative process. So for me as a creator, for instance, I learn best by just going in and diving in and trying out. And if you're the same way, then I think, some of these layer 2 options like Matic, or even a different chain that has much more lower transaction fees and is already transitioned over to proof of stake, such as Tezos, is a great option. But if you're an artist who is very meticulous about planning everything out first, and then is about making sure everything is correct, and you have a vision already, and you have a plan, and you have an entire kind of plan of attack, then you may want to hold off, and you may want to wait until gas fees are lower on Ethereum. But that's really, again, a creative decision. But in my kind of opinion, the long term, what will happen is what another speaker was talking about earlier, about the multi-chain. So the takeaway there is, don't worry too much, because I do believe in the long term, multi-chain interoperability is the future. But the other truth that I also, or the other opinion that I hold, is that Ethereum is going to be the best solution for scalable, decentralized chain. So if decentralization and the notion of decentralization is very core to your beliefs, then there really isn't many other choices beyond Ethereum. But that being said, layer 2s are the future. And so, the gas fees are not going to go down. That is a feature of EIP 1559. And so don't expect the gas fees to go down too much. The point is that we shouldn't be minting directly to Ethereum in the future, that it should all happen on side and level L2 chains. And so those are kind of like my thoughts on this question that is very important for a lot of new and emerging artists. Thanks for letting me speak here.
Seema, does that answer your question?
Kind of. I'm still new, so I'm a bit lost, but I think I'm going to wait it out on Rarible and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I did check out OpenSea, and there is that option of swapping to Polygon, but somebody had suggested do not go for Polygon, just stick to Ethereum. Then I googled about Polygon, and it said it's not that secure, although a lot of people are using it because of the no gas fee thing. So I'm still a bit skeptical though.
Okay, that's fine. I think just take your time to learn the space a little bit. So David, apologies, you've been waiting for quite a while. You have questions, fire away.
Thank you. Thanks for having me up. So I've got 2 questions. The one has to do with editions. I know some collectors prefer one-of-ones. So I'm just wondering, so I'm not comparing a one-of-one to, say, 100 editions or 10,000, but 5 or 3 editions. Is that something that would dissuade a collector who prefers one-of-ones? Also, what would make me decide to just mint 1 copy of a particular work as opposed to, say, 5? And then just another question that's kind of unrelated, though. My work and some other people's work starts off as analog, then they digitize it. So you have an original. It appears that most collectors aren't that interested in having the actual physical piece. I'm just wondering, is that actually the case? Is there an interest from collectors to have the physical piece, and how can I kind of incorporate that into how I am selling the NFTs?
Great question. So can I rephrase that for you? So your first question is, how would you as a creator decide whether to make one artwork as multiple copies? And the second question is, how much value does a physical artwork bring to your NFTs? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I've been wanting to hear from JC personally. So let's start with JC and then move on to Cody and Bad Apple.
When we talk about making one-on-one as an NFT artist or NFT creators, we must always be realistic of who we are. Are we well known? Do we have a social standing to the public? Someone want to spend money on you. they are not a fool. They make their decision based on judging creator or artist. So you can, just like Suana Jo, her one-on-one tulang rusuk can be sold to Abu G for a big amount of money, but she made her own social standing, and she has her own presence, and she communicate and she interact, and sooner or later someone will see from behind, will make their own judgment, and there will be no problem for them to spend any of that kind of money, because you do not know that people who have money have a very big ego in spending it, because you cannot buy anything else. You have cryptos, right? So yeah, one-on-one is something that you have to think carefully. If let's say you are a prominent artist like Ujang, one-on-one is one thing that you can go through. But when it comes to physical artwork, when you mint a digital artwork and you plan to give or you plan to offer a digital artwork, there will be some collection of people who might not going to be interested on the physical artwork, because in the context of NFTs, people care about ownership deep down. And there's some debate about ownership, like when we see that there will be a various transactions that involve NFT that does not represent the artwork, physical artwork itself, but instead it's digital. But the inherent characteristic that are commonly mentioned when defining these NFTs is a new form of ownership. It includes scarcity and uniqueness trait, and interoperability and immutability means that people are keen on the security and the value of the hash code behind the NFTs. So possibly a physical artwork can be considered as seasonal merchandise that people will really appreciate and feel appreciated as a customer or investors. Yeah, that's my answer. Thank you.
Awesome. Cody, would you like to add something to that?
I just want to say how smart JC is. I'm so thankful that you got JC to be on the panel, because man, not only are other artists learning something, but man, his thought process is something to be. All right. I'll geek out about him later. My opinions about NFTs with physical copies that come with it, I honestly find it very attractive. I've bought a couple. They've not arrived yet, to my dismay. But that's the game of the international art trading scene, right? Which is essentially what NFTs are, right? Over here in this group, we already have so many unexpected nationalities coming in, and originally this group was hosted by Futures and Gwyn Gang, with the context of a Malaysian, Southeast Asian audience. But here we are. So ladies and gentlemen, how do we explain the efficacies of physical art when shipping costs more than the gas fee? Do you know what I mean? Like, would the art survive the trip? That is also a huge question. Then what JC comes. Then what JC's point. Then it validifies JC's point even further by saying that the true essence and intrinsic value of the asset itself is the ownership. It's that strata title. It's that code. So I would say that there is a lot of value in giving your consumers physical forms of it, and you can call that like especially with your type of art, David, like you and your cohorts. I'm sure the genesis is on canvas first, right? It's not on digital form. It's on canvas. So now it's a matter of rebranding it. You're giving them the ownership, right, on the blockchain. Yeah, that's fun. But you can angle it this way, right? You will give them the genesis canvas. You know what I mean? Just come up with a really, really, really cool term, the genesis canvas, because our type of art is genified on canvas first, and then for the digitized. But
Cody,
yes,
we're gonna have a lot of Genesis canvas already from your idea tonight.
yeah, I will take 2% royalty. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. But yes, Genesis canvases, I believe. I mean, you can play your marketing game in any way you want, but you can have that one for free.
Awesome, great input. So we have more people wanting to ask questions. So the next one I'd like to invite is Film God. I hope I said that right. So go ahead, sir.
Hey, everybody. I definitely appreciate this space. I've kind of got a two-part question for everyone. And little backstory. I look at photography kind of like I look at being a chef. I don't expect that when I walk into a restaurant that the chef behind the kitchen only makes one type of meal. I don't expect this guy only makes burgers. I expect that he makes burgers, pasta, salad, what have you. So I look at photography the same way. I make portraits. I shoot nude work. I love street photography, and I do documentary work. And I'm wondering, A, do collectors feel that certain artists should separate their work? For instance, if I have nude work that I do and then I've got street photography, should it be separated on OpenSea and, say, Foundation? And also, do collectors even really give a damn? Like, if it's good work, is it just good work? And when people see it, do you just say, I like that, and I believe in this person, they're consistent, they're honest about their work, and I'll buy it regardless of whatever else they've got going on?
Damn. First of all, your accent is absolutely mesmerizing. I have to say, it's just so authoritative. I'm
Stop, Cody. Stop it.
Okay. Okay. I believe it's the preference of the collector, and I think JC, Bad Apple, and myself. I think we can only give you our perspective in this sense. But if you're like you said, if you do good work, I will most likely just look at it as it is good work, as long as the nuance is there. I do have an issue with creators that don't separate their works by projects, and then their collection becomes an amalgamation of just a mess of different styles. That's definitely what I don't enjoy. So if you're planning to launch on OpenSea, I definitely highly recommend that you separate the projects per release. Other than that, your accent is great, but that is all I have to say.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that knowledge, and my wife's been trying to get me to go into voice acting for the longest, and maybe I do it, maybe I don't. But I've definitely been separating everything on OpenSea and on Foundation. And I like the layout. It seems that people lean more toward Foundation. And I didn't want to burn everything I've got on OpenSea because I like the layout. I like the story that I've got going on there. But I've also heard that there's been a lot of scams on OpenSea and things like that. So I'm like, I want to alleviate any guesswork or any questioning there. But I do agree completely that everything, it's kind of like having a website. You don't want to throw everything at the wall. You want to make sure you have one body of work here, one body of work there, an artist statement for each one, or at least that's how I think of it.
100% agree. Thank you so much, Film God Q person. Thank you.
Awesome. So I'd like
Thank
to
you all. I'll drop down.
Thank you for your question. So J3 is connecting. Give him a second. Why don't we skip to the next person in line? I think Mac, you've been here for a while. The floor is yours. Do ask your questions.
Hey, thanks. I don't actually have a question. I came up to comment on Seema's question, which was, I guess, regarding which marketplace to mint to. And I think one of the things that I felt was being left out was like the consideration of the cost related. Not all marketplaces have the same commission. So I usually implore people to look into not only like what is the added value that the marketplace is providing to you, whether it's like curation or putting you, in a collection. Sometimes they have programs where, if you, I guess, garner a certain amount of attention, they could potentially promote your work. And not all marketplaces have options like this. So be considerate of like the added cost of minting and what that added cost would provide you. And so with Rarible, and OpenSea, it's going to be really low. It's going to be 2.5%. With Foundation and Super Rare and a few others, it'll be somewhere between 12 and 15%. So if you're just starting out, that might be a high commission to give up if you aren't really going to be taking or using the additional services that they provide, such as curation or promotion. I think generally when you're starting out, the goal is to get some ETH on the table so that you can continue to put work out and have more time to think about what your work could be. And so I generally I don't like to recommend that people mint to the general marketplace unless they don't have resources to deploy their own contracts. I think if you have the capacity to code or have friends that code, it's worth the effort to look into what it looks like to deploy your own smart contract, and that's just for the sake of royalties in the future. A lot of people don't hear that when they come into the space. They just hear, oh yeah, go to here and it'll be cheap, and the reality of that is the contracts that the marketplaces deploy aren't necessarily honored across the ecosystem. So if you're minting to Rarible or OpenSea and someone takes that asset and sells it later on Foundation or Super Rare, there's no guarantee that they will honor what royalties you have stipulated in the contract, because the contract was deployed by another marketplace and they don't have to honor what's in it. So if you have, like I said, the capacity to code, or if you have friends that code, put that time in early, mint your own contracts. It costs a little more, but I think if you're here for the long term, it's much more beneficial to you to be able to track your royalties, because otherwise you could potentially have your royalties lost in the transfer of data. There's certainly people who have been waiting 6 months for royalties, people who haven't registered their works at all of the marketplaces, and so one marketplace might just hold it and not know where to send it because they're not actually reading the contracts. So
sorry, Mac. Sorry. Kezi, is it? Do you have questions? Because we actually have a list of people that have been waiting.
I just want to tag something really quick directly on the end of that. Like Cardano and Solana, I think, are very good communities for people that can't afford the gas fees, because they don't really have gas fees, but the communities have a ton of people that know how to do the coding and stuff, and they are very supportive of the artists. So you can find the right people if you don't know how to do it to help you. Obviously, you got to be a little careful with that, but I have met so many people that are just willing to help each other with the areas they're not familiar with. So it's a good option to look into if you can't afford the gas.
You could also do lazy minting and not pay that gas, but yeah, sure.
Abdurrahman, I think you've been waiting for quite a while, so the space is yours.
It's all right, my man. Hey everyone. I want to say shout out to Malaysia, man, from all the way from Saudi Arabia to Malaysia. Great people, great conversation, great space. I'm not literally here to have a lot of questions. I'm only here for one reason, actually, to ask one question, not many questions, just one. I think one is good. Overall, what do you think of photography? And do you think as photography and NFT, collectors, do they actually care about that much?
Okay. First of all, that voice. All right, moving on. Okay, I think photography has got a lot of potential within the NFT space. The problem with photography is that it's mostly a like before NFTs. I believe the best way to market nature photos is through National Geographic, and National Geographic will probably buy your photos as a corporation and use them to tell a specific story, right? And I believe that there's a lot of so I bought a few photography NFTs to much of my dismay, because I bought them to flip, whereas as an art collector now, my mindset is much different. But when I did attempt to understand photography, right, it's harder to appreciate, because it's harder for my eye to recognize what is good photography. Because in this day and age, we've been so spoiled by the ever rising quality that lands within my hand, right, within my phone. And to appreciate photography as a true art form, the advancement of technology, especially handheld technology, has spoiled it for me. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like, it feels like with the technology that I have on my phone, I can replicate the thing. Like, it feels like it. I'm not saying that I can, but it definitely feels like it. So unless we're talking about photography that's superimposed and that's somewhat abstract, that's telling a different story, it's gonna be very difficult. Like, I find it difficult to invest in lifestyle photos, like photos of cultural scenes, right? Old school traditional cultural scenes, or a very impoverished African tribe. Like, these photos just don't hold much more value to me anymore. But let's talk about environment photos. Like, what about those? Like, those are great. Scenic photos are amazing. But then we are also in the world of the internet, where our screensavers, the very thing that represents boredom, is represented by huge, amazing scenic scenes. So it is also the cultural relevance of where we're at today, and I think that photography is just not at the forefront of cultural relevance at the moment right now. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Hey guys, I just popped in here and I've been listening for like the past few minutes to Abdul and even I think JK and Cody, bro. I really liked your opinion, but for specifically as an artist and as a collector by itself, I think the problem is just not thinking that your art is valuable enough. Because while me and Cody, like, I've never bought a piece of photography art, but there are people out there who do love photography art. A lot of them probably are photographers. I think that figuring out, because that was JK's problem just a few minutes ago, figuring out how to bring value to the people who you want to see your art is one of the most tricky things as an artist, because it's such a science. And we spend all of our time trying to figure out how to perfect things as an art form. So what I think, just my personal opinion, is that your art is probably already fine and it's probably amazing, but you have to find out, how can I add value and connect it to the people who want to see it? Because like I said, I might not collect it, Cody might not collect it, but there are people out there who want to see your art. But unless you give them value, and that value could be just as simply as them buying into your story and not necessarily your art. They believe in so much of you as an artist, the art piece is sometimes secondary. That's what happens with sometimes the Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's what happens with CryptoPunks. Like, these aren't amazing art pieces, but you're buying into a piece of history, or you're buying into something because of a specific collector. So yeah, man, those are my thoughts on that. Don't give up. Keep going, and if you have a style that's working, man, keep going with it. Just figure out how to connect the people who want to see your art.
Definitely. Thank you all for a great conversation. Well, now I do have more questions, but it's okay. We can definitely ask them later. Thank you all for having us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the input. So just a PSA, public service announcement. So for our international, I guess, guests here today, speakers, listeners. So we initially wanted to do this space. Actually, it was very focused to one particular marketplace, which is one that started in Malaysia called Pentas.io. There's a lot of Malaysians here as well. But of course, we're so happy to have everyone here. So if you're an international artist looking for, other marketplaces, you can definitely head out and check out Pentas.io. Me personally think that the community here is so supportive. So which is why we actually have JC and Cody and Bad Apple here. So which is awesome, and it's also good to be hearing from people from other countries as well in other marketplaces. So that's awesome. The other piece is I'd like to invite this function. Sorry to keep you waiting.
No problem. It's totally fine, and thank you for the space. As well, very interesting questions that are being asked here, and I'm going to try not to try. I'm going to keep my time short. A resume of my story. I started only like 3 weeks ago on the whole NFT space. It's been a hell of a ride. I noticed this morning I'm past 1,200 followers, and there's a lot going on, but I'm mostly doing AI art. And my question is, related to my foundation piece as an advice from the collectors. Now, I know I'm very new. I know I'm not out there yet, although I'm joining as many spaces as I can. And I thought that as that extra value for a collector, that on my foundation piece, I would do some bidding tiers. So basically what I say is, if your bid is above an X amount of Ethereum, you get an extra minted piece with a printed canvas and signed, then 2 pieces, then up to 3 pieces, depending on the bid that is done in there. My question is, from a collector's perspective, is this a rookie's mistake? Is this something that collectors do not have interest in? Or is there an opportunity for something like this to be considered?
My man, this is a great question. JC, I'm sure you as a venture capitalist, you definitely have a better intake to auctions. But in my opinion, you shouldn't tear off and reward your consumers even more when they've decided that is your price. That's what bidding is all about. That's what an auction is all about. It's about finding out how much people are willing to pay for you, right? And for your one-on-one, it's actually finding out how much that's that one person willing to pay for you. And if that one person has already decided to press, 12 Ethereum, let's say, right, and bid that amount, trust that decision does not land on the extra perks that you provide. In fact, it cheapens your value further. You should hold steadfast and be confident with the price that you land on, right? And if you're trying to convince people to bid more, right, and you're not getting any bids, in my opinion, it's just a matter of finding the right collector. Because if you're starting on foundation, you're actually just entertaining your audience of one, right? Your market of one. You don't really need a marketing plan. You just need to figure out who you are, what this one piece means. Because as a collector, I can tell you very honestly, my friend, I spend more money on the description, the nuance of the piece, than I do the piece itself. So if your piece strikes me an emotional chord, my God, will I shower you with money. Do not fret, my friend. You only need to appease me and allow me a sense of catharsis through your piece. If you can choose to do that, if you can do so, my friend, fandom is upon your doorstep. And you know what happens in fandoms, right? Fandoms in anime and everything, it's basically a channel of money, a recycling of my wealth into you. And that's what true fandom means. And I think that if you can nail down your nuance, just be confident in the bids that you get. Don't reward them any further.
That's an excellent advice, actually. I might have made the mistake. Well, I made the choice based on it being my first piece and maybe struck down by humbleness. But I totally get your point, and thank you very much, Cody. That was very very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next up we have Bjorn. So I hope I mentioned that right.
Okay, so I was trying to say that at the beginning, at this stage, I know I'm going into a new space, so I was planning to lower my prices so that anyone that trusts me with my words, as my career progress, they could also benefit from the collection they have collected at my early stage of career. As my works progress, I believe that my value that people collected before will also increase in the future.
Right. So basically, you are trying to put your price low initially at the start to allow people to collect your artwork. Hopefully, they will be able to be interested in whatever you're trying to publish. Then at the end of the day, plan to raise your prices. Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay, Cody, JC, or Bad Apple, do you guys want to take this up?
Can I speak for a while, please?
Yes, JC, please. Session is yours.
I need to answer a bulk of photographers, creators right now. This is very important because most of you have been wondering the same about the future of photography. But to answer the bro just now from Indonesia, beyond, is that photography is a need to do interior for the metaverse. Imagine that. This is what we want the metaverse be. A place to hang out, a place to display artwork, a place to have a business meeting. And more people are finding a way to decorate their little gallery. This is what I see, and this is what I have been observed. So you guys are on the right track. Photography is something that is not being... It's a very saturated punya industry before NFTs. Like traditional market of photography, another digital art, is selling a tangible copy that have an intangible right of work of art. With a huge market saturation in the last decade, it is increasingly difficult for most artists to generate revenue for their works. This is the past. So NFT represent an entirely new market and mindset for artists. Buyers interested in art and technologies are now clamoring to not only support their favorite artists, but also to acquire scarce digital assets that offer the potential of appreciation. Remember, collectors are investors. They just care about appreciations. NFTs are boon to artists and buyers alike due to the unique structure of blockchain technology. Hence, you guys are not in the wrong path. You guys are in the right path. Whatever chain you go, every marketplace has its own unique ecosystem and has its own unique flavor. Understand each marketplace and you can diversify just like what the film gods want to do to multiple chain. You can just diversify if you have many type of style and niche. But first of all, understand yourself, understand your work, and then be consistent, find the right marketplace, and definitely there will be people buys your work because there's not much photography NFT in the marketplace. You guys in the right place, right time, right moment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bad Apple, and I just want to give my advice on photography NFTs. You see
Cody.
the thing.
Yes, so sorry.
Cody, behave.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it. My God. But JC, you're goddamn genius. All right. Okay. I'm so sorry. All right. I'll stop.
Okay, Kezzy, you've been raising your hand. Must be tired. So sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple comments. Some of them were touched on a little bit already. But as an artist and a collector, for all the people that are asking about how to sell your work, I found that you need to build the community first, sell the art second. So go into the spaces, find people that you you engage with, people that you connect with, people that you enjoy the company of, and follow them. Try to connect with them, try to get them talking about your artwork, show your artwork, maybe have one or two pieces up in a marketplace, and just connect with people, and then follow those people in other spaces that they're in, and eventually you'll get enough people that know you, that are already paying attention to you, so when you go to sell your pieces, you have people that are already looking at you, because if nobody's looking at you, then it's a really small chance that people are going to see it, especially in a place like a marketplace that has a lot of things being posted all the time. Also, what was I going to say? Shoot, I was going to say something else. But yeah, no, it's about finding your audience. It was about auctioning. So how I started doing my auctions to kind of gauge what my floor prices should be was to build a community by doing these token giveaways, community tokens, but only giving them to people who would join a Discord that I had started. So I knew they were engaged enough to A, want my artwork, and B, in my Discord, and then held my auctions exclusively through the Discord, starting at a low price and then seeing how high it went, and then doing it a couple times. But because there's already people looking, the struggle to find the people to auction on it isn't as difficult. So you can kind of average out what your first few auctions end up at, and kind of see that, okay, people are willing to pay this much, and people are willing to pay as much as this much, so maybe I should meet somewhere in the middle.
I think with artist self-esteem, it's honestly it's both traversing on an all-time low and also an all-time high. Like we've never seen artists being paid so much so often on the blockchain. So like I mean we see these pieces selling for millions of dollars almost every single day. But I also think that you should just be a little more confident and go for the most outrageous pricing that you feel you deserve, because you only need to worry about that one person, right? And if that one person is willing to, and I want to bring up that story that about that guy that bought his board ape for what was it, 200 ish Ethereum, right? And he was actually prepared to pay 600 Ethereum. That's what he put in his MetaMask. So don't be afraid to reach for the stars, because people with money, they're crazy, right? And you need to meet that level of crazy with your brand and crazy. So I feel like meeting in the middle, it's cop out. But if you really need to make your money, and if you're on a time constraint, for example, right, because everyone needs to pay rent, then yeah, please do what you need to do to survive in this physical world first. You know what I mean, right? But if you have the luxury of time, I would say just price it at 100 Ethereum. Who gives a fuck, right? Just go for it. Go for the stars. I give you full permission. I give you full permission to price it as however much you want. And we're talking about starting bids, right? Just start it. Just start it at 50 Ethereum. See what happens.
Chain Letter, are you here?
Yeah, I'm right here. Right here.
Okay. Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
I love what you guys are doing, man. This is great conversation, and some of the advice has been just bar none awesome. Very creative, very out of the box thinkers. A lot of experience. I'm appreciating what I'm hearing. For the one person that said he wants to engage with his community, I think there's tools you need to learn how to use or use. For example, your description and your metadata or what's quote unquote properties. You can leave information for your holders to read and engage with you. Links, different types of ways of getting to you if they want to ask you a specific question. They might even want to commission you. You can use that metadata of a way to communicate back to you saying, I like what you did. Can you get me something similar to this or something else? So I think that's one thing you should be able to use when you create your art. And metadata can be updated at a later date on your photos or your document or your images or your art, right? So that's something you should be able to use in the future. And I have a feeling metadata will be very, very popular going forward. That's all I got to say about that. For me, as an engineer, artist, and a collector, not a big collector, but I collect a little bit. One thing I've always questioned, because I'm an engineer, is, all right, so you made an image, whether it's digital or physical, you digitize it and put it on the blockchain. What happens to that original digital image? And I've also seen the same artist post it on different blockchains, the same image at a different price, which I find very unprofessional. So who's training and teaching these young artists who are just coming in thinking they can do this and wash out their art? No one is guiding these young people. What are your thoughts on that?
We first need to gather a global disciplinary action crew. We must find these people, dox them, and burn their houses.
That's funny. Very funny. Very funny. But it's a serious thing.
Yeah, Cody, we should form
definitely.
an organization, right, with you as the head.
Yeah, we have.
I think it's the maturity thing. I think it's a maturity thing. It's an experience thing. Like a mature artist that's been around a long time, that's gone to actual museums and art shows and curations, understands the value on how to keep a 1 of 1 or 2 of 1 art in check. But the new generation, I feel, kind of disconnected from. I'm not sure if it's a moral code or experience, but I think it's gonna hurt this new beautiful industry that's coming out of the ground, and just time doesn't stand still. I mean, we're moving fast. I can't believe it's the end of the year, and it's just unbelievably, and so much is happening with so many projects, and that's just my point.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. All right, Okay, I think this phenomenon happens in every industry, in every craft. Because I as a because I'm a beatboxer, right, and I'm a 5-time champion beatboxer for some, right. So I understand when it comes to the craft and getting to the pure side of it, you eventually have a different segregation of school of thoughts. You have the purists, you have the elitists, and then you have the people that just want to do art on any scale, right? And it becomes a form of segregation and clique mentality that happens within the craft. We can see that with Deadmau5 when he was Deadmau5 was on a whole purist train from like 2015 to 2018. You can go check that out. And what happens, right, when the craft starts segregating within itself in this manner is that you have high toxicity, right? And you have words like maximalist coming around, right? You have words like I don't know, like there is this sense of disrespect or lack of stature when it comes to providing many editions. Now, the thing is, I disagree. I think that we are certainly seeing a different way of marketing art, especially when we're moving from one medium to another. In a physical museum form, like you've mentioned, Chainlink, right? Like, I definitely see the value of it being one of one, especially if I can find it and observe it and appreciate it from one specific a geological location, right? But in this digital world where it seems like every JPEG, every original image seems to be copy pasted already, it feels like the enjoyment of the piece is far beyond just the visual pleasure of the piece itself. It feels like we're moving into a different market where the commodity is not the art itself, but the ownership, or rather the feeling of ownership. Just the way that we buy property, we don't necessarily touch the ground of the property and go like, yeah, this is mine, this is my grass, we don't necessarily do that. What we do use it, right? We use it in a very practical form, but the form of ownership is held in the strata title, right? And it is in that drives value and pleasure for the consumer. So I think that, yeah, let them dilute their art. Let's see where it goes. Maybe they'll create a whole new market segment that we will never even understand, right? It's a matter of, I don't know. I guess it's let them. I mean, in Mandarin, there's a saying, 你给他们去弄表，他们才会知道, right? What it means is that allow them to hit the wall, allow them to run straight into the wall and figure out that the wall is there. So yeah, let the market do its thing. I believe the true artists will stand and survive, whereas the others will fade away. 99% of you are not going to make it. And that's the truth.
Some hard truth there.
No, very definitely. It's. I love your thinking. You're right. Let them bang their head against the wall and figure things out. Reputational damage is what it is, right? However, what about the investor, the person that loves that art or intended to love the art, but now?
I don't know.
I guess if you love the art, you love the art, and you buy it for the art, but not as a flip, right? So maybe that's the point.
But what if
you got a good point?
What if I'm an investor and I don't have a lot of money, but I still love to collect art? Why wouldn't I buy 1/100th of an edition of an artist that I like? You know, we're talking about lowering the entry point for people to collect art. That's a good thing, isn't it?
No disagreement. It's definitely a good thing.
Definitely. Guys, let's give some time to a lot of people that's actually waiting to speak. So apologies. You can go ahead.
Yeah, no worries, man. I wanted to share, I guess, more of a success story. I know a lot of people have been asking for advice, and I'm an AI artist out of the US. And I've been in NFT, sort of the whole crypto space, since Gary Vee started talking about it in February, March, really early on. And the more I paid attention to it, the more I was just paying attention to trends and looking at like how everybody loves fucking monkeys or like pixel art and all types of different things. And then I kind of just started creating. And the more I created, the more that I shared my art. And it wasn't just that I was sharing my art. It's almost like I was taking every single thing over these past few weeks and few months that everybody has been saying and just acting on it. Like every single day, I'm sending out 20 tweets. I'm reaching out to 30, 40, sometimes 100 people about my art, different collections, and just engaging with them, talking about their art, giving them value in some type of way. And I dropped my first collection last week with almost no expectations of it selling out or anything. I dropped the collection that night. I think I went to sleep, and by the time I woke up, the entire collection had sold out. And I was talking to one of my friends, telling them about it. They don't understand NFTs at all. And they were like, man, you're so lucky. Like, yeah, like I wish this could happen to everybody. Like, you're so lucky. And I kind of just thought about what he was saying. And I was like, man, of course, some luck had to do with it. Like the Twitter algorithm threw my comments out there and did that. But like, yo, these 20, 30 hours, 40 hours of work that I put in, like there was no luck in that. That was me grinding as hard as I could out of the mud using a lot of the strategies that you guys are talking about today. So for a lot of new artists that are getting into the NFT space or trying to figure out how they can make their mark, like you just got to put the work in. There are a million different ways for you to actually do it and a million different ways for you to get your art out there. But you have to first believe in it and then add value to the people like the collectors that you were just talking about. Engage with them, talk to them, reach out to them, give some pieces, have like a true authentic giveaway where you're really talking and not just spamming people. There are a million ways to do it. But whenever you really care, and I mean like fucking care, like when you buy my piece of art, you have unlimited access to me. Like I love you like you were my fucking family. And I try to show that as much as I can. It's almost like I was so focused on adding value and forgot completely about selling that whenever I started adding enough value, I eventually got to that point where my artwork was worth way more than I thought it was. And I hadn't even really even thought about it. So yeah, guys, that was just my success story, letting you guys know that the shit that you guys are talking about and giving advice to artists, it works. It really does.
Thanks so much for sharing, man. I think the one thing that hit us in a small community in Pentas, right, was an artist, sold her artwork for I don't know the amount, but it's a big
12,000.
amount, and then 12,000.
Yep.
Yeah, Swana Jo, she sold it for 12,000.
22 BNB.
Yeah. And I think part of the things that people don't realize is how much effort she put into, talking to the community, onboarding new artists, right? Especially, being in Asia where this thing is probably a bit lagging for the majority. And finally got someone who really believed in her and bought her artwork, not just because it's beautiful artwork, but because of her involvement in the community. So I guess what you just said there is right.
She's like a superhero now.
Exactly.
Like, people love her. Like, she probably gonna get people want to take pictures with her and stuff. Like, yeah. It really does. It really does happen. And I would be lying to you guys if I wasn't here trying to do that exact same thing that I'm talking about. Like, I want to share a positive message to artists saying that you can do it, but that's just me adding value. And then eventually, somehow, some way, I'll get that value back.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, guys, the people from Pentas community, see, it doesn't just happen here; it happens everywhere else. So keep grinding. So that's the message. Thank you so much for sharing. So I'm inviting Bavugar. Apologies for messing up the list a little bit. So go ahead.
Okay. Again, hello international people. I actually little introducing myself. My name is Bavugar. I'm from Iraqi Kurdistan. I'm a digital artist and meta producer. Right now, I want to talk about like people telling stories. The most valuable things that people don't realize is their stories. I just want to say, be confident about your story. Just tell it. No matter it is the worst one or the happiest one. People like they will invest in your story, not just your art. They will remember your story. Everybody knows people, and he got like about 2,000, more than 2,000 arts. And I know like nobody like remembers those whole arts, but his story, like he was making art every day. That's his story. Suddenly, someone showed up, like a billionaire invested more than $60 million on his story because he just made art for every day literally. So just like the thing I'm saying, no matter what is the story behind your journey, just people should know about it, so be confident about it. And that's just what I wanted to say to everyone who is listening to me, because people will invest in your story.
Thank you so much for that sharing. So just a friendly reminder again to everyone, just please keep track, please be mindful of the time. We still have a lot of people wanting to ask questions, so without further ado, I'd like to get Harus, I don't know how to say it. Can you come up and tell me how to say or pronounce your name? Said Harus.
Akmal, we think we will come back to Said Harus. Yeah. We'll move on to Cookie.
Sorry,
Cookie.
No problem. I'm learning patience. Oh no, I'm learning patience in these spaces, so it's all good. First thing I wanted to say is to Cody, thank you for mentioning to Film God that he should be a voice actor. That is my other half, and I've been telling him that for years. But onward to my point and my question. So I create art, and it's self-portrait art, and it is mainly in the nude, and I do that for representation purposes. I do that because for a lot of nude fine art that I've seen in the past, it's majority white women. You don't see women of color who are seen in that way as class, right? When it's women of color, it's more crass, it's more hypersexuality, it's more poverty, it's all these negative connotations from our societies around the world. So I am breaking that mold within myself and in my community by taking self-portraits. So my question I want to ask is, what do collectors fuck with nude art? That's basically what I want to ask. What value do they find value in nude photography or in nudity in and of itself? Or is it still really, really taboo for a lot of people?
JC, would you like to take this? I'm not saying that it's right up your alley, but you're a speaker. We value your input.
Thank you for asking my opinion. I really appreciate it. Well, nudity, as we all understand, before the Renaissance, before the 15th centuries, it has been practiced to an act of worshipping a creation of God, according to biblical practice. So, as we progress as human beings, if you read Aleister Crowley, The Snowfall from Curate, it's a very erotic novel from a Satanist. So, as you might see, the progress of nudity has evolved to the part of patriarchism to female liberation. Men use women nudities as a form of patriarchy, controlling, and as a form of insult. Feminists use nudists as a form of liberation, telling them what to do. So, when it comes to people who collect this kind of artwork, it's those who have the same mindset as what I explained as earlier on. Same mindset who believe that nudity is not harm. There is a selection of people who are purists. There is a selection of people who are conservative. But there is a selection of people of liberal. The world is big. You are not going to please everyone. You're going to please a certain selection niche of NFT collectors, which is representing a small percent of the world population, to buy your awesome stuff. So believe in what you're doing, because there will be people who represent the same mindset as I explained earlier. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Awesome. So in short, if I can summarize it, try to figure out who shares, who are the potential buyers who shares the same values as you, and then market really hard. Easy. So good luck to you, Cookie, and your other half.
Can I still speak or not? Because
Go ahead.
my kids are going to bangun kejap lagi. Bangun kejap lagi Malay means my kids are going to wake up soon from her sleep. So I want to talk about a very important and very critical issue among creators, artists. Artists have egos. So let's tackle this ego together. We have a question over here. Is it good for an artist to compare themselves with another successful artist? So, as you can see, jealousy is part of the 7 sins. But I'm going to be clear-cut with you over here, not to waste your time. Straight away, science fact over here. Psychologists, Lion Fisher, believe that we engage in comparison process as a way to establish a benchmark by which we can make accurate evaluation of ourselves. So like in psychology, social comparison theory is one explanation for its tendency. We have to make comparisons between ourselves and others. For example, imagine, let's say you just sign up for a marketplace and you just put up your minting your NFTs. So full of confidence on the first day, but nobody look at your artwork and you start to see the other NFTs gain better tractions and have a better sales than you. You start to feel jealous. Initially, you might compare your ability to other members, to the other creators. You start to make comparisons. And particularly noting that you mostly compare to those who are better than you. There are 2 types of social comparison: upward social comparison, downward social comparison. What I'm telling you right now is very important for you to tackle your ego and tackle how you deal with jealousy. Upward social comparison. This takes place when we compare ourselves with those who we believe are better than us. This upward comparison often focuses on the desire to improve our current status or our level of ability. We might compare ourselves to someone better off and look for ways that we can achieve similar results. While downward social comparison, this takes place when we compare ourselves to others who are worse off than us. Such downward comparisons are often centered on making ourselves feel better about our ability or traits. We might not be great at something, but at least we are better off than someone else. So all I can say is that we as a human can't stop comparing. It's our nature. But understand the psychology of comparing will make an NFT artist behave differently and grow exponentially. Thank you very much.
That's very deep. I'm not sure how I can summarize that, but what I can say is, yeah, like I said, let's tackle the ego together, and let's just work together to achieve something greater than ourselves, right?
You want to move on over to Kim, Akmal?
Yep.
Yeah. Zanao, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I hope.
Zanao. Yeah.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry to keep you waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. I am preparing a new project, and I am new. So I started with, I'm a photographer and an artist, a painter and caustic painter. And I started with my photography as I was going through learning curve and trying to understand how to post and everything. So I achieved that, and now I'm working on a larger project with my paintings. And I'm unsure of the way when I first post a project, if there is a proper way to either do an auction or a fixed price, if there is more appeal or advantage or one over the other.
maybe one of the collectors would like to take this question up. Maybe Cody? Would you like to? Yeah.
I'm so ashamed to admit this, but I completely didn't listen to your question. I was more focused on the quality of your voice because you got such a nice voice. I'm so sorry.
Well, thank you so much. I must speak more then, huh? No, I am a photographer and an encaustic artist, and I got my feet wet learning in the NFT space by posting my photography first, just as just to try and learn. And now I'm working on a painting project that I am very excited about. I'm just unsure if starting with auction pricing or a fixed price when you do a larger collection, if there's a advantage one over the other, or if collectors have what your perspective is.
Wow. I think it's entirely up to you. Your decision to attack your demographic, the people that consume your art, you have to figure that out. You have to figure what your audience likes, and you should stick to it with that. As a collector, I can't really comment because I've barely bought any photography NFTs or any acoustic arts. I'm so sorry. I'm part of my ignorance, but I truly have no idea what that is. So I'm not even sure if doing a collection or one-on-ones would benefit you in any way. But I'm sure that if you figure out your demographic and if you market towards them and figure out what they like, I'm sure you would do very well.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Nice voice, person.
JC, you wanna chime in on this one? I think JC, you okay with that?
I lost the question. I'm so sorry. Can I have the question back?
Okay, but anyway, I think Zanao stepped down already. Thank you so much, JC. We'll move on over to the next speaker, probably Akmal. We'll move on over to Basil.
Yeah, Basil. Yeah. So
where are you from,
here
bro?
Present. Sorry.
Where are you from?
I'm from Syria, but I live in Germany. I'm a doctor.
Wow.
Awesome. Yeah. You rendered us speechless.
No.
The only two words that came was wow and awesome.
All the Asians so impressed that you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Right, go ahead. Were you with what?
Doctor. So yeah.
So first, I'm not sure if here, do you want me to talk about the perspective of this whole community? I've been here for a few months, or do you want me to ask a question for you guys to answer, or do you want me to talk about my experience and what I'm doing?
But Buzz, I think we're actually opening up the floor to new artists, especially who wants to ask to collectors. I think you can remain as speaker and try to chip in. If that's okay, if you don't have a question.
Actually, no, I don't have like a certain question. I'll just introduce myself real quick. I'm not gonna talk about the project. I'm just gonna introduce what I'm doing. My name is Basil. I came to Twitter, the NFT Twitter Spaces, a few months ago. Right now, I'm the founder of the NFT Music Radio and Concert, where we host and showcase artists for free. We don't take charge, so we don't take any money. Just bring your music and we'll play your music. Why do I do it? Because I have the platform and I like to connect people. The other thing is called NFT filters, and there's a third thing I recently released. Other than that, I usually go to spaces. I try to learn as much as possible from NFT marketing. I also have created my own spaces in like during my radio show. There's a day that's special for NFT marketing tips and questions, Q&A, and so on. That's how far that's by far is a little review about me. So yeah, in case anyone had questions, also I'll be more than happy to offer my perspective on this whole thing. So yeah, thanks.
Awesome, thank you. Futurist, can you help me? Can you help point out who's the next one? Is it Oscar or?
Yes, it's Oscar. Yeah, sorry.
Oscar. Yeah.
Hey everyone. I'm actually not a NFT collector, but I'm a threat hunter in cybersecurity. and I map out threats in blockchain daily. And so in my community, there's been 31 just people that's been going to me for cybersecurity help on a spearfish attack. And it's pointed towards NFT collectors. So by looking at this chat, I saw NFT collectors. So I wanted to give cybersecurity advice to anyone. And it's really, really brief. A spearfish is a targeted attack. That's where if a threat actor came around and then targeted that certain individual and then exploited that individual. And it's not like a Discord thing. Discord is just in the attack layer. So for like the 31 people that came forward to me, they're all like tracked and traced from Twitter. So if you have like, you know, in your bio, you put your OpenSea URL, or if you put like a high valued NFT, that's one way of threat actors getting to you. And then in the attack layer of how they do it and how they target is they'll go through like OpenSea and then go to kind of like then they'll go into their other channels of trying to like, you know, trade NFT, or they'll actually just do a lateral exploit, like a lateral movement. So that's if like they clicked on any, and it's not just URLs. You got to make sure of RTFs, which are rich text files. That's like your Word documents. If someone sends you like a Word document, like maybe a photo ID, it's obviously fake, or a utility bill, or anything that's like Word document related, or PDF, you know, like on a kind of a trade with an untrusted relationship. Malware payload can like get into your computer. This is gonna sound kind of odd, but don't over tell who you are on Twitter. Like if you just bought a Mac, don't say you got a Mac. There's been 180 zero-day vulnerabilities, and 18 of them were actively exploited. And so you want to keep a low profile. It's kind of like, I'm not trying to be anti to this like NFT collector thing, but like given that 3 of the exploits were firmware exploits, that means if you like okay, Oscar, we have cold wallets, but we have these high valued NFTs, a lot of NFTs. 3 of those threat actors actually did a firmware exploit to Trezor and Ledger. So if you are targeting a spearfish, like just so you know, it is very possible to get into that coldware wallet at this present time. So my best advice is to keep a low profile and I guess don't overdo it, because as soon as the threat actor knows they have more than 30 or 40 Ethereum just kind of like waiting in your wallets, they're going to do everything they can to get to that Ethereum. And that's like gathering the API from Twitter, getting your username, pulling off every tweet you ever had, and then looking for ways of like any kind of slithers of your security down. And if they do compromise, and by the way, you can get someone's IP address from Infura, which is like part of the MetaMask architect. If a threat actor knows how to do it, they can get your IP address. So your whole docs game is like completely gone. Once they get the IP address, they can also exploit to that perspective on active reconnaissance, which is using more actual cybersecurity or cyber threat. I don't want to get too technical because I don't think a lot of you are, but I'm just trying to say and spread awareness as much as possible. I made a post on top of here. If you guys can carefully read that, it gives what to do in an active exploit. Like if you are exploited, what to do next, the next steps. And if you have any questions, please DM me. I'm just here for you. I don't collect NFTs. I'm just here to support the community.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. So just a final thing. So we're going to take 2 more, which I believe questions, which I believe from Oiku. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and Flippy Hat, I guess. And after that, we'll be ending this space with one big question to our speakers. So apologies if we can't take any more questions. It's been a very productive session. So without further ado, Oiku, would you like to step up and ask your question? So wait, before that, if you have questions, then please do. But if you would like to add something, I think we should give the space to someone else who actually has questions. Yeah.
Okay, now I have a question, but I was almost forgetting it since waiting here. So, yeah,
no. Apologies.
No issues. Thanks for taking me up. So I'm a photographer from Istanbul, Turkey. So my question is, how do you evaluate the place of the photography within NFT? So I'm recently joined to this platform, NFT, and also Twitter. So I'm coming across different NFTs, different version of it, different arts. So I really wonder, how do you see the place of photography and also the future of it within NFT?
So just to summarize, I think JC did share the space is really early. I think Cody also shared his perspective on photography, NFTs, where we're very early. There's certain applications. What JC mentioned earlier is, some a place in the metaverse could be it. But again, don't worry if you don't have sales right now. But yeah, other than that, JC and Cody, would you like to maybe add if there's any more ideas or things that you've seen for photography that may work?
Sorry if I'm causing a repetition, guys.
No problem. It's okay.
I missed the first beginning part. I wasn't here.
It's okay. We still have JC and Cody here.
Yeah. Well, forgive me. Thanks for the question. I guess one must understand the marketplace ecosystem first. Every marketplace have its own niche of congregation of collectors prefer to hang out. Like we could say in Pentas or in Tezos or in Solana. Each marketplace have its own photography artwork and has its own certain styles of photographies that weirdly congregated over there. This is my observation after I've seen views and analyzed views of these NFT photography projects. So if you have time, the best is to understand yourself, your style, your artwork. And after that, to be effectively sell, you might need to study the marketplace, which is the base marketplace that's susceptible to your project. And other than that, go ahead and do it, because we are still early. We will make it, obviously. Wag me.
Thank
you.
Wacky.
Right. So hope that answers your question. Flippy Hat, you'll be our final question that we'll take. So go ahead.
Hi. Okay. My name is Farha. Like F-R-H-H.
Okay. I didn't want to say. I kind of guessed. But okay, Farha. Hi.
Okay. I'm not an artist, but I do draw sometimes, and I'm so new to NFT, and I was wondering if an artist started by putting their NFT artwork on a certain platform like Pentas, from which I understand it is more local to Malaysian, and if in future the artists decide to change their platform to sell their NFT on OpenSea, for example, does that disconnect them with their existing audience on Pentas?
Great questions. JC and Cody, go ahead.
Well, it's a very interesting question. Thank you for asking. When you build your community does not loyal to the marketplace. Your community are loyal to you as a creator. Wherever you go, your community follows you. if your community doesn't follow you, you build a new community, because the only person that's going to push your project is your community. That's the answer to my question.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Wow.
Can I
like
JC?
that? Like listening to JC, like I've been on Spaces a lot, and listening to JC, like this man has experience, guys. Follow that guy. He's really providing golden advice for free. Thanks, man.
Awesome. So there's one final question to our speakers today. I'm not sure if Bad Apple is still here, but yeah. So the final question, I guess, if you were to leave an advice, right, your best advice on the floor here tonight to all artists, what would it be? Maybe Cody, haven't heard from you. You can start first.
I think Bad Apple has something to say.
I think everyone should be body positive.
She's
make
here.
sure,
She's here.
Drink a lot of water.
Stop.
Artists, you can't make good art if you're dehydrated. Drink a lot of water.
The best advice I can give an artist, regardless of their medium, right, is just be patient. Like making good art, creating community, it all takes time. And if you can allow yourself the luxury of delayed gratification, and I say luxury with a tinge of pain, right, with a tinge of salt with it. If you can master delayed gratification, you can definitely win no matter what you do. But especially an artist, because the universe favors the winners, and the winners are reserved for the people who wait. That's all for me.
Yeah, basically just hodl, right? Don't sell, just hodl, right?
I mean, hodl on your own art career.
JC?
Advice, you ask an Asian for advice, Just can I speak Chinese or not? Okay, you see, this is how Confucius say, with the same intonation. I'm not going to insult because I also 我也是讲华语, so I'm not insulting anybody over here. 360行，行行出状元. That means among 360 traits, every profession produces its own top experts. They are experts for all skills, just like you guys too. So that's my advice.
Can you please do that Chinese accent again, but on a different?
不起不可以。
walao 这个人啊，哎呀，
一次而已。拍谁啊？拍谁
？JC 超棒。
Feature is I don't see Bad Apple. Is it something wrong with my device, or she's not in the space?
I don't see Bad Apple, but I do hear Bad Apple. I somehow do hear Bad Apple speaking behind my head.
That was Cody.
I think maybe it's Cody. Maybe it's Bad Apple. But I
think Bad Apple is here though, because I can see her.
Yeah. Cody, you wanna speak for Bad Apple for this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm here. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Final advice.
Oh,
yes.
All right. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. That's the best advice I can give you.
Because I might buy your art.
That too. Yeah, sure. It's definitely not self-serving.
Okay. Thank you for entertaining us, JC, Cody. Thanks for your time, and also Bad Apple and everyone else who actually joined our space. I think this was very eye-opening, especially to...
Actually, hey Gwen, can I add something? Like usually before I shot any show or something, I have a little less than 1 minute piano piece I play on Spaces.
Ooh.
In case you guys want to hear it, I can play it, and then maybe if you want, I can
go ahead. They would love to listen.
All right. So that's the quick piece.
Clap, virtual clap.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that.
This doctor plays the piano, living in Cologne, guys.
And have 3 NFT projects.
Help me, doctor. I'm having a heart attack from all this hot music.
I know.
Doctor, this room is now changed into shoot your shot.
Right, guys. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks,
yes.
man.
Akmal,
actually, I had one last advice in case you guys hear.
Sure.
Because it happened with me multiple times, and if it happened to beginners, I swear it will destroy them. So I think it's important for everyone, especially here on NFT spaces. So most importantly, guys, don't fall for something called fake advice, or let's say it's fake critique, which will be intended to how do I call it? Tended to maybe call you out in front of public or something like that. I remember when I started, this was like around 2 months ago. It's after I started. I was presenting my project, and there was a guy who said, "I don't see utility in your project." And then I explained the utility. Then he told me, "Well, personally, I don't want to buy it." And I told him, "This is not made. Like, I'm sorry if you don't like it, but this is not for you." And so on and so on and so on, until he had no more excuses. So then at the end he said, "Man, look, I'm just trying to give you critique, but be careful, don't fall for that, in case someone was trying to do that, trying to, humiliate your project or try to say negative things about your project. Stay positive, don't react very quickly, think before you talk on spaces. People don't forget if you mess up, if you react in a bad way, people will remember that. And as everyone said here, people would want to invest in you before they invest in your project, because they're putting their hard-earned money in you, in your project. So they're expecting returns. You should look in the mirror and ask yourself, would I invest in me? In case not, why not? And fix those problems and turn that not into a yes. So yeah, that's my advice.
That's a really good advice to end the space tonight, guys. So thank you again so much to everyone, especially JC, Cody, and Bad Apple, for sharing your thoughts. I know you guys are busy people, so thank you so much. Thank you, and good night from Asia.
Good night.
Good night.